After years of anticipation, the next official lunar mission, Artemis 2, is finally drawing closer. NASA continues preparations with the Space Launch System, the Orion spacecraft, and supporting infrastructure. But major questions remain, the main ones being, what comes next and how secure is the long-term future of these programs? And with uncertainty still surrounding schedules and readiness, how far along is Artemis 2 really? And why does its path forward remain so unpredictable? Let's break it down on today's episode of Great SpaceX. If the 2022 mission was a quiet journey around the moon without a crew, then the upcoming flight scheduled for early next year will mark a historic turning point. For the first time in more than 50 years, humans will travel farther from Earth than any crew since the Apollo era. That mission is Artemis 2. And according to the current schedule, NASA aims to launch within a window that stretches from February through April of next year. This means the countdown to humanity's return to deep lunar space has effectively entered its final phase, with only a matter of months remaining. Naturally, this raises an important question. How exactly is NASA preparing for such a high-stakes mission after years of delays, revisions, and public scrutiny? In its latest updates, NASA has highlighted a major milestone that brings Artemis 2 closer to launch readiness. The agency has installed a crew access arm on the mobile launcher, a critical piece of infrastructure that was not present during the uncrewed Artemis 1 mission. This specialized system is designed specifically for human spaceflight and allows astronauts to safely and efficiently board the Orion spacecraft while it's stacked atop the Space Launch System rocket. The addition of the crew access arm represents a clear transition from testing hardware to preparing for real human operations. With this installation complete, the fully assembled vehicle is expected to move closer to the launch pad in the near future. Once there, it'll be connected to the launcher and subjected to a series of integrated tests. These tests are designed to verify that every mechanical, electrical, and procedural element functions exactly as intended. Following that, the Artemis 2 crew will conduct rehearsal activities that closely mirror the actions they will perform on launch day itself. While the hardware continues to take shape, the astronauts assigned to Artemis 2 have remained deeply engaged throughout this entire preparation period. Crew training has been continuous, intensive, and increasingly realistic. One of the most significant recent milestones was the successful completion of the countdown demonstration test, often referred to as the CDDT. Unlike earlier simulations that relied heavily on data and virtual environments, this test involved the astronauts physically boarding the Orion spacecraft. At the time, Orion was mounted atop the SLS inside NASA's Vehicle Assembly Building at the Kennedy Space Center. During this exercise, the crew experienced the motions, timing, and procedures that closely replicate those expected on launch day. They wore their full spacesuits, entered and exited the spacecraft, and followed real countdown protocols under authentic conditions. The countdown during this demonstration proceeded in sequence and halted at T-minus 29 seconds. This is only moments before the final automated steps that would normally lead directly to liftoff. Reaching this point without issue was a strong indicator that both the systems and the crew are operating as expected. So far, all results have been positive. After the remaining preparations on the mobile launcher are completed, the entire stack will be transported from the Vehicle Assembly Building to the launch pad. There, the astronauts will repeat similar tests, but this time in an environment that offers a much higher level of realism. Weather exposure, pad infrastructure, and real-world spatial constraints will add layers of complexity that cannot be fully replicated indoors. These activities are only part of the extensive preparation campaign for Artemis 2. While the program was relatively quiet in previous years, progress throughout this year has been notably steady and visible. That said, it's also clear that this progress falls short of the ambitious timelines originally envisioned when Artemis was first announced. Looking more closely at the hardware, assembly of the SLS has been underway since July of 2024. Core stage components, solid rocket booster segments, RS-25 engines, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, and the launch vehicle stage adapter have all been delivered, integrated, and stacked in a carefully choreographed sequence. Each component must meet strict tolerances before it can be combined with the rest of the vehicle, and even small issues can introduce delays that ripple through the schedule. Meanwhile, the Orion spacecraft has followed its own long and complex path. After Artemis 1, Orion became the subject of intense scrutiny due to unexpected erosion observed on its heat shield during re-entry. This issue sparked debates over design choices, testing methodologies, and risk tolerance. Despite these concerns, Lockheed Martin delivered the Artemis II Orion capsule to NASA in late April of 2025. From there, the spacecraft underwent fueling operations, integration with the launch abort system, and a series of validation checks. By late October, Orion was finally installed atop the SLS, marking a major milestone toward flight readiness. Taken together, these developments make it clear that NASA's preparations for its first crewed lunar mission in decades are real, active, and increasingly urgent. Time is no longer an abstract concept for Artemis II. Every remaining task must be executed correctly because there is little room left for error. That brings us to the launch date itself. As of now, NASA lists the earliest possible launch date as no earlier than February 6th. However, the presence of a wide launch window extending into April suggests that the agency is still managing significant uncertainty. This is not surprising. Artemis II must succeed not only for the safety of its crew, but also for the credibility of the entire Artemis program. For that reason, February 6th should be viewed as a target rather than a promise. Delays of days or even weeks remain entirely possible, and a shift into March or April would not be unexpected. When dealing with a mission of this complexity, caution is not only reasonable, but necessary. With that in mind, many observers have begun to speculate about when Artemis II will actually lift off. February, March, or April all remain on the table, and each option reflects a different balance between schedule pressure and risk management. Now, while Artemis II is moving steadily toward launch, it would be impossible to discuss the mission without addressing the broader controversies surrounding the future of NASA's traditional systems. Support for the SLS and Orion remains strong in some circles, particularly among former NASA administrators. Jim Bridenstine, for example, has openly criticized aspects of the current Artemis architecture, while still advocating for the continued use of SLS, even proposing a dual launch approach to improve mission flexibility. However, this support is far from universal. A growing number of critics point to the slow pace, high cost, and quality issues that have plagued NASA's flagship vehicles. Artemis I alone required more than a decade of development and billions of dollars before it ever left the ground. Those same structural challenges are expected to persist with Artemis II and beyond. In previous years, internal and external assessments that suggested the probability of SLS cancellation was alarmingly high. At times, estimates reached as much as 75%. This year, that uncertainty has intensified. The SLS and Orion were reportedly included on lists of programs considered for potential cuts or cancellation, with some proposals suggesting that they could be retired after Artemis III. At the same time, competing proposals have emerged that aim to preserve these systems through continued funding and incremental upgrades. As a result, hardware preparations for later missions appear to be moving forward even as long-term policy decisions remain unresolved. This tension reflects a broader struggle within NASA and the US government over how best to pursue deep space exploration. Recent comments from NASA's new administrator Jared Isaacman have further intensified the debate. Isaacman has been unusually candid in his assessments of NASA's existing systems. Regarding Orion, he noted that the spacecraft is roughly 20 years old and had never carried a crew prior to Artemis II despite its long development history. He also emphasized the seriousness of the heat shield issues observed after Artemis I. Turning to the SLS, Isaacman highlighted a recent solid rocket booster test that ended with an unusual malfunction. He also reiterated long-standing concerns over quality control, particularly with the exploration upper stage under Boeing's responsibility. Beyond that, he noted that the lunar lander remains far from a full operational demonstration, while the next-generation EVA spacesuits continue to lag behind schedule. Too directly, Isaacman acknowledged that the mission is years behind its original timeline and will not enter lunar orbit. He summarized the program as one built largely on legacy space shuttle hardware, flying at an extremely low rate and costing far more while taking significantly longer than it reasonably should. Coming from the head of the agency itself, these remarks have raised serious questions about the long-term future of NASA's in-house launch and crew systems. At the core of the criticism is a fundamental limitation. The Space Launch System is not reusable. Each launch expends billions of dollars in hardware that cannot be recovered. For a sustained lunar presence, this model becomes increasingly difficult to justify. After the first crews arrive, launch cadence would need to rise sharply to support base construction, resource utilization, science, and logistics. Maintaining SLS and Orion at that pace would place immense strain on budgets and infrastructure. This leaves two possible paths. One is a sweeping transformation that delivers greater flexibility, affordability, and flight rate. The other is eventual cancellation, with Artemis shifting largely or entirely to commercial providers. Under Isaacman's leadership, neither outcome appears to be off the table. As uncertainty grows around NASA's legacy systems, the commercial space sector continues to build momentum. SpaceX stands at the center of that shift. Despite development delays and ongoing design challenges, Starship remains the backbone of NASA's lunar architecture, offering a scale and payload capacity that no other vehicle can currently match. Starship could radically accelerate lunar exploration, delivering massive cargo and crews and potentially serving as part of the moon's infrastructure as a habitat or logistics hub. No other rocket in development comes close to this capability. At the same time, SpaceX's Falcon and Dragon fleet continues to provide reliable, high-cadence crew and cargo transport, with Dragon proving more flexible and far more cost-effective than Orion. The remaining challenge is execution. Orbital refueling, routine orbital flights, controlled landings, payload deployment, and the lunar Starship HLS must all be demonstrated. If achieved, they would redefine human spaceflight, and under Jared Isaacman's leadership, NASA is expected to strongly back this effort. Blue Origin remains an important part of that equation as well. After years of delays, New Glenn's success represented genuine progress. Its landers could add valuable redundancy, even if the company's slower, more traditional approach constrains rapid scaling. Even so, SpaceX and Blue Origin together now form the backbone of America's return to the moon. Looking further ahead, companies such as Rocket Lab and Stoke Space could add additional depth to lunar operations. Vehicles like Neutron and other reusable systems may take on supporting roles, from deploying rovers to building out communications infrastructure at significantly lower cost. As commercial capabilities mature, NASA's own vehicles face an uncertain future. SLS and Orion will anchor Artemis 2 and 3, but their long-term value rests on flawless execution. Any major failure could hasten their retirement. After years of stagnation, NASA may be approaching a turning point. Its future likely lies not in owning every system, but in orchestrating a competitive commercial ecosystem. With reform, strong private partners, and renewed leadership, the U.S. can sustain space leadership through innovation, flexibility, and scale. And with that, folks, this has been Kevin with Great SpaceX. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already to stay up to date with yours truly on the latest milestones in SpaceX's journey. Thank you so much for watching, and always remember, curiosity, imagination, and inspiration will follow you so long as you keep looking up.